organized on that and so on. And thousands of street traders. I think in the month that we had, I think there was close to between 6,000 to 8,000 people that demonstrated on the streets again there, demonstrating that these were traders independently organized and fighting, right? So at the time, it's very instructive, because I remember that DAE, which today probably is the one that was pushed because the campaign was actually driven by the ANC at the time. The idea of a clean city, even at the time, I mean, I didn't form part of the meeting, but I remember, a community of mine made the point that the MEC of the ANC responsible for this at the time said, their idea, when she was asked, what is your idea of a clean city? She recalled the days when her dad used to take her to Johannesburg in the 80s. That was the idea of the city that they could not be clean. A city without black people. Yeah. Black, poor, working class people and so on. Yeah. And it is at all not surprising that the DA, the Action SA, and all of that are contributing narrative. Because if the ANC had that narrative, you can imagine what this is all about. Secondly, the idea that the cities apologize for the Action SA, let's be clear about it. This is not an aberration when it comes to Action SA. This is the very foundation of their policy, of their campaign, right? Now, when the DA goes into a coalition with a party like that, it cannot be that it does anything other than to endorse and to embrace those politics. So I stand here to say I totally and absolutely reject that apology. They are responsible and they must be held to account. Lastly, Chair, is that, and I think once we have that perspective, we've got to agree on it. Yeah. The issue of xenophobia, right, is a crisis primarily of working class organization. There are these conditions, of course, but it is not automatic that they have to be to this kind of thing that we see. It is the issue that the working class has to organize first and foremost, not on the basis of the hopes of some understanding with the people in the city and so on. These people are the class enemies, and I think we've got to treat them as such. We've got to organize independently and consistently in opposition to them, but also offering our communities alternatives in terms of how do we take back our streets and so on, because they are encouraging and in many ways increasingly funding this operation to do that. Police are behind it. Police are responsible for what is happening there, but also in the mining affected communities, where in Kruger we have seen a horrific rate of people that now they cynically want to, exploit to scapegoat the migrants for the failures of the ANC and mining cooperation to hold accountable those mining cooperation for lawlessness that is prevailing. Thank you.
First, a couple of questions for firstly, so you said that the NO6 tweets do not represent the multi-party government, the views of the multi-party government. I just want to confirm, is the multi-party government willing to acknowledge that these sorts of statements from public officials often directly in the sidelines? Then there seems to be an acknowledgement from all parties that a certain kind of female ethnicities is a good thing, and others that kind of female ethnicity not so much. I just wanted to get clarity, some clarity from that the city is committed to a kind of female ethnicity that does not involve the words of Justice Okuda and Brian, the killing of human beings, whether to killing of is it committed to a killing of roads that won't be the original traders. The last I checked, the city has never conducted the research to ascertain two very important things. The one being how many traders do work in the city, The second being exactly how many traders the city is able to accommodate. Wondering whether that research has since happened. If so, what were the results of that research? If it hasn't happened, and evictions of traders continue, on what grounds, and not only the evictions, but the limitation of trading space to traders in the city, and what grounds that limitation happens if the city is not aware either of how many traders there are, or how many traders it's in the city can accommodate. And the last question for me was, I'm glad you mentioned the city's informal trading policy. During the election campaign, informal trading policy was central to Action SA's campaign during the elections, before the previous government elections. The policy that was passed by the city earlier this year, very similar to the one that Action SA were campaigning on. So I wonder what the city's response is to critics who say that anti-movement sentiment, characteristic of some of that campaigning, is increasingly institutionalized in the city's approach to street trade. Thanks for being here. To example, I just wanted to ask, when is SERI planning to reopen the offices? And I wanted to get some clarity on the security measures that SERI has been considering for its staff, whether or not any security has been considered implemented. And then finally, to Brian, I have a question. I don't want to lose sight of the fact that while a lot of what we spoke about today is about threats of violence against SERI, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that the members have actually suffered violence recently in the last month. And I'm just wondering whether or not tied up during this process, members of society have been threatened similarly to what SERI staff members have been through, whether or not there's been violence against traders.
I'm going to ask our speakers to respond to the questions. I'm going to start with the city rep and then I'll move across.
Thanks very much. How long will the investigation take? I cannot commit to a timeline here, but what I can commit to is keeping SERI updated as to where that investigation is. The executive mayor today was very clear that the work must start immediately to ascertain who or what went wrong in this operation, and essentially, as I stated in the statement, why did we not properly look at the Constitutional Court judgment as well as the 27 July order. The mayor has, as her representative here, publicly condemned the utterances of the MMC, the retweets and the statements that were made there. And it's unfortunate that the second speaker rejected the apology from the city. It's taken on. This is a highly emotional setting, and such sentiments are noted. And these sentiments push us to do better. It pushes us better to interact and engage with stakeholders like informal traders. I'm happy to hear that there was engagement with informal traders in the adoption of the informal trade policy. And I think that comes to the question here around the campaign of Action SA. I can't speak for Action SA, but we have adopted an informal trading policy as the City of Johannesburg. And with the institutionalization of xenophobia, I don't believe that to be the case. We're working as the 9 parties in the multi-party governments to finalize the city's migration policy. And the city does have active migration desks within the 7 regions at the regional offices, and this, in part, is to assist migrants in for instance, getting the necessary documentation to be in the country legally. So there is active work that is being done in that space to foster social cohesion within communities, and also to ensure that the city does, within the ambit of what can be done within the laws, to assist migrants. In terms, I never like to say I don't know, but in this case I don't know whether the research has been done in terms of how many traders are in the city and how many traders can be accommodated in inner city. But what I'll do is that we'll exchange numbers after this, and I'll be able to get you that information, whether it's positive or negative in that regard. When we talk about cleaning the inner city, it's not a clean sweep of removing black people, of removing traders from the inner city. It's about ensuring that this is a place that is clean and safe for all the city's residents and its visitors. We want the inner city to become a place where people can live, people can work, people can play, regardless of who you are. For instance, some of the initiatives that we're prioritizing in the inner city is mixed housing that ensures that we're able to bring people, especially those who are economically disadvantaged, closer to the inner city, closer to economic opportunities, closer to schooling opportunities. Johannesburg has rich academic institutions, especially at a tertiary level, and a lot of those are centered in the inner city. So we want to be able to bring people closer to the inner city, not just people who are trying to trade, but equally students themselves. Do tweets incite violence? Yes. Tweets, the things we say, the things we do, especially those of us who are in positions of power and authority, we must be responsible in the things that we say and do. And again, I reiterate that the executive mayor has condemned these tweets. She's had conversations with the MMC around these tweets and saying that these do not represent the multi-party government, and that had she been approached by the MMC around this issue, she would have advised him not to go ahead. I hope I've answered all the questions that we put forward.
Thank you. Dennis, just to respond to your question, look, it's scary. SERI, it's making its, actually they made their decisions, they approached the city and stuff. But look, our members on the ground, they, even from the statement here, we didn't hear anything about informal traders. There's no apology. It seems like it's normal to just wake up and tell people to stay home. They mustn't work. Even the mayor is not apologizing. It's apologizing at SERI, of which we understand. We are with SERI now. Our members, Dennis said, we've been there. They are ready. It's not about Brian. I understand they're saying that I'm fronting, I'm used. That's undermining. I'm not an object. There's no one who can use me. I'm very independent. I've got brains. I know what I'm standing for. As much as the MMC is a member of Action SA, he wasn't told by anyone to be a member of that party. I was not told by anyone to come and be in this position that I'm in today. It's a decision that was taken very soberly so. And we are ready. Look, these threats and stuff, I can't speak for everyone, but members on the ground and us as a forum, we knew very well that when we are taking this space, it's not going to be very easy. We are well ready. What happened in Newville, we know. The MMC is involved. We've got his recordings. We will release those videos when the time comes. We know what the councillor of Newville said or is saying. I don't want to talk about this vigilant group because I don't want to promote nonsense. Absolutely, I don't want to even to give my time to them. But we know who are behind that. We engage. It's people that we've been, as the last speaker said, we've been into this for quite some time. We know these people. When that Operation Tutula and the MMC visit the city, we engage with them. They've been telling me that they will kill me. I said, look, if you will kill me, whether you'll be 9 to 100, you're gonna die. Maybe no one will kill you, maybe you'll die first, but you're gonna die. So we are ready. There's no, to tell us that you will kill us, we don't take it as a threat in our organization, Dennis. So we are ready for anything, and we're not gonna just let it here because our members on the ground, they are affected. We're gonna make sure from here, just that I'm not gonna announce what we're gonna do, but as the forum, we're gonna make sure that we act. Ngululeko Mbundu as a person, there will be action that will be taken against him. We will go and open cases against him. He's just a politician. Ours as citizens of this country is to make sure every politician make sure that whatever action that he or she is taking, it's considered, because tomorrow he will account for. Thank you.
Am I on? Thanks. So the difference between SERI and SERI, right? As the ED, I cannot be in a position that says we are ready for people to kill our staff, for people to question our staff. Earlier on, Brian referenced the fact that I was arrested after Operation Kingswood. In that arrest, I was arrested by police officers. In fact, there was only a short time, about 10 minutes, from when I was picked up. I was taken in a police car, the JPD private car, to John Foster, where I was scared for my life. But what this could have done is they've made my staff scared for their lives every day. So that 10 minutes, when they walk in the mall, when they see someone following them, the possibility is that actually this person is here to do what has been threatened. And that's not acceptable. And Nigel, as you asked me, and Dennis asked you, that is a responsibility that we take on as employers. Like, we have an obligation to protect our staff, to make sure that the environment they work in is safe. And that does mean that we will do everything in our power to make sure that people account for what has happened. We are grateful, as I've said earlier, to have many of you in this room. We've received messages of support and solidarity from other organizations, from our funders. But one of the key interventions that we received in the last 24 hours was someone who said, we will help you trace each and every Twitter we made threats to say. We will help you silence those threats. Early on when we started, I called someone else and I said, they said to me, Nomzamo, one of the things that you must tell people is that they must not retweet. They must not retweet. Because when you retweet, you spread the message to an unfortunately more Afrophobic country. Right? So even though you think you are talking to people that are your friends, who read your timeline, those people might be the ones who then come and tap our attorney on the back, or tap our cleaner on the back when they're walking on the street. And so the request that we're making to our partners is that, one, if you see any tweet that threatens us, that threatens scientific, if that threatens anyone, your obligation is to screenshot, report to tweet. Right? Please don't retweet. Two, I think the one thing that these people who've been making it thought, they thought that SERI is alone, that SciTech is alone, that they could scare us into darkness, they could scare us into abandoning our relationship with the informal trading organizations. And we won't let that happen. Instead, what we will do is use the resources that we have to go after them and make sure they know that there will be consequences. That when you tweet and tell someone, will come burn their office, even if you have no plan of leaving your house to do it, there's consequences for that. When, on the day that I closed the office, I called the team in the common room and I said to them, there was the incident of the Spear of the Nation, when there was a picture of President Zuma. While people met in courts to discuss what should happen to that picture, two people, unconnected to each other, went and defaced the picture. In the very same way, when the people that are making these threats, they might not intend to execute them, but they might rouse someone else to execute those threats. So as a result, as SERI, we've increased the security measures for the staff, especially the ones that are at the front of this case. In fact, I've struggled throughout this to even name them. Right? Because I know what naming them means in this environment, in this country, right? And two, what we've offered this, we've closed our office temporarily. We will check what is happening towards the end of the week. We've engaged the security company that supports us. Zach has requested of the City of Johannesburg, who says they denounce LMC Mbulu's tweets, they denounce the actions that they are threatening us to say, then post JMPD vehicles at SERI's building, so that people know that as the city you will protect them. Because at the end of the day, we are here because of the actions of the city. Yeah, I think what I wanted to say, Nigel, is we will exercise our agency. It is unfortunate, like you said, that in the last few months we've seen the power of the state stand with people who make these threats. And we are continuing to call that out, and hopefully we'll start to actually be more effective in getting results in terms of public officials, in terms of state resources being used in these anti-illegal measures.
Thanks, Montano. I'm going to allow maybe 1 or 2 more questions. I've really noted 2 people, so 1 or 2, and then I'm going to try.
Global Public Sector Trade Union and former staff of the SERI. So in 2013, the slogan was develop us into the city, and the city wanted to clean the crime and grime of the city. And I wanted to ask you as the city, because when we talk about cleaning and now define what you mean by cleaning, can you admit that the problem of the need to clean is actually failure to provide public services and administration, and that you have been keeping the resources of public services, the resources for that for the elite, and you're not providing public services to the poor and class communities, and particularly to those who are using the city. And so the problem for the need to clean is a problem that you have created, and it is one of our public services, and it is not a problem of the users of the city, for whom you should be looking after and ensuring that they have a proper working city to which they can conduct economic activity, be safe, and use freely.
I'm Andy, human rights activist representing many organizations. My message I bring to SERI from a lot of people in the struggle is to say, just as you have said, you're not alone. And everybody needs to understand that 1 or 2 of us may be killed for our causes, but there are many of us that will continue to fight. And while we believe in everything that SERI has done so far, so we are absolutely devastated to hear that in this day and time where we are asking for protection of whistleblowers, that we have people threatening our activists, even our brothers and sisters activists in SERI. My question to the city particularly is that we all know the constitutional law, we know that the Bill of Rights is in place. It seems that every time the city has to apologizing on behalf of MNCs who don't seem to understand the Constitution. My question to you is the understanding of the Bill of Rights and the Constitution part of the induction pack that is given to every MMC and every politician? Because if they have read it and fully understood it, then they will not be making these inflammatory statements which cause irreparable damages. We know what's happened in the world, and there's no way that the city can step away and say they're not aware of what's going to happen. We have chiefs, which is your forensic department. Why are chiefs not investigating these things before they actually become an issue? I really want to go back to the Constitution and say, don't step on our rights. We, the people, are the people that you need to listen to, not policies and procedures that are designed by the administrations within the city. Thank you.
My good sir, allow me to state that we apologize directly to you and your members. The apology to SERI was in part to you as your representatives, but allow me to apologize directly to you on behalf of the City of Johannesburg. In terms of, indeed, the parts of service delivery and public safety is about the environmental issues. We must ensure that there's an environment conducive to people maintaining the law. And that's part of our service delivery mandate as the city. And indeed, service delivery has been almost undermined and non-existent for a couple of years. On the 1st of July, the multi-party government's budget kicked in, and there was a host of consultations that happened around that budget to avoid the situation where services or allocation of services are reserved for the elite. We caucused with all the political parties in council, all the political parties, not just those that make up the multi-party government, to ensure that the priorities in communities are the priorities of communities. For the first time, the executive mayor instructed that all the MMCs be part of the IDP public participation meetings. That took around 10 of them that took place in every region. Some of them, like Soweto and in the city, had 2 public participation meetings. And those ensure that all inputs are taken on board from communities. Of course, not everyone will be made happy by the decisions that we take, but our commitment is to ensure that the delivery of services is done in an equitable manner, and especially to those communities that have been without services for the longest of time. The idea that services should only be delivered to ratepayers, and I mean that's generally code for the elite, is something that we want to do away with as the City of Johannesburg. Every resident of the City of Johannesburg deserves to be treated by the city in a way that makes them feel like they belong. Is there an understanding of the Constitutional Court, the Constitution itself and the Bill of Rights? Those are the supreme laws of our land, and it is indeed part of the induction of councillors to understand where they fit in the constitutional order of South Africa. Perhaps there is a need for us to reinforce it, and I'll have that conversation with the Speaker of Council to ensure that councillors, MMCs, are well aware of where they fit in the constitutional order of South Africa. The request for security from the city at SERI headquarters, I will take that up with the Executive Mayor and the City Manager, as well as the MMC of Public Safety. Thank you.
Great, thanks very much, Dr. 1 minute. Yes, sir. 2. You just check with the speakers. Are you happy for us to take 2 more questions? Okay. Let's do that. So for 1, 2, I'm afraid I'm happy to make the last one.
Thank you, comrades. My name is Sarah from Drill, and we are here representing Kenya College and the Karibu newspaper. I think we would like to really extend our solidarity and our support to the comrades at SERI and the comrades at informal traders. I think what Comrade raised about the Women's Month, about it being Marikana Month, it's not, they're all connected. The violence that we are seeing against women, specifically the women, or the violence that we are seeing against the informal traders. I think, and then again, what comrades facing in terms of the unique organization of the working class. So for me, besides what has been suggested in terms of our support, I'm wondering if there's anything more we can do, whether there are lunchtime pickets. We have a small group, but we are willing to join. I think there are many who are. I think we will also have to put pressure on the city in this investigation, that they, at this point, can't even commit to when this investigation will take place, how long it will take. So I think things like pickets at the city, pickets at SERI, pickets in Plain Street, where informal traders are being victimized, needs to happen, and we would just like to extend our voice to support that in any way we can. And we hope that may happen soon, because it's getting worse. The current situation is getting worse for women activists, but in general for activists who are struggling for the working class. Thank you, comrades.
Thank you very much. My name is Lynn Mandela from Pauli, Africa Based Research Institute, and I cannot say it in so many ways that we are here to support to see. And it's very important work that will be happening in 2022. People that's working apartheid practice. It's important work that needs to continue irrespective of who the government is. And I will not take the time to repeat everything else that's been said here, and it looks like we are preaching to the converted anyway. But my passion and plea to the city is that we can see where the South African economy is. It's shrinking. It's been shrinking even before COVID, and we can't even talk about the devastation of COVID that our economy. Here I'm not only just talking about the City of Johannesburg, but just to say that there is a tendency in South Africa to kind of shy away from informality. Informality is here to stay. This is Africa. You know what Africa has, what colonialism and apartheid has done to South Africa and what colonialism has done to the economies of the country. So to shy away from informality is actually to deny poor people the right to live. And so I'd be very interested, not only as a citizen or a ratepayer of Johannesburg, to understand what is Johannesburg plan to deal with informality, because we can't pretend like we're a city in Europe or in any of the Western countries in the first place. We're a city in Africa with all its problems and challenges, and we cannot continue planning as if there's not going to be informality. Informality is here to stay. We just need to find a way to befriend it and embrace it and make it part of our economy. Thank you.
Thank you. So I want to check whether anyone wants to, would like to respond to that.
The first speaker was not a question, but indeed to apply pressure on the city to make this report public, apply pressure on the city to make sure that this investigation happens. We are accountable to you as residents, and again, the mayor is committed to starting this investigation immediately, and we'll be in touch with SERI at every step of the way. Informality is here to stay, indeed it is. We don't want to see it go away, but we'd like to put in place the necessary regulations and bylaws that regularize the space and protect the rights of those who are in that space. As stated in this statement that I read out, informal trade is a great economic driver. They are great stakeholders in the inner city, not just the inner city here, but various CBDs across the city. They are the lifeblood of many communities. They are the convenience stores of many South Africans, and we'd like that space to stay. We'd like it to confine within the rules and laws of South Africa. And as a city, we also have responsibility to ensure that the laws of those who are in that space are protected. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I just want to check with the Principal Exam with regard to say a few things, and then check with either Brian or Zach would like to say a few or Zach to conclude.
I was going to suggest myself as well. So, the one thing that's important for us in all of this is to remove violence from the conversation. And I feel and I fear that once you say we have a national picture, I promise you there will be a counter picture. In fact, the first concerning tweet by incitement was to say we're at the street every day. Step out of your student comfort places, you can't join us. Right? And so I feel like if we want to further what we are trying to do here today, then we must create dialogue spaces. We must create spaces to dialogue about the fact that we're a country where they say now 90% of the world belongs to 10% of the population. But we're out here scrambling and scratching each other about that 10%. We need to create spaces where we can talk about why it can't be a concern that you want to be able to walk in the inner city. Because the reason why you could in the 90s and the 80s, exactly like COVID said, is because the rest of the people who belong in this country were in Bantustans and were in townships and only allowed to be in the city from 9 to 5. The fact that we have to deal with the reality that if this is a country for everyone, that means something different. And I appreciate the offer, but I feel like we have to think about what that means in terms of are we not inviting more violence, right? And also the idea that we need to create as many spaces of dialogue as possible. I think I've been in the last month struggling with the fact that if we want to build the South Africa we would like to see, we need to act differently, right? it would be much easier for me to say, we cancel Mungu, we swear him out, because that's what instinctively capitalism has taught us to do. But we need to show up in a way that shows actually we want to live in a different world. We want to live in a world where we can dialogue with each other respectfully, where we can disagree and still be able to move forward. And I'm not saying that large trafficking will cause that, but in this environment, I'm concerned about what will happen if we have it at SERI or if we have the seat. If we will get from all of you, I think everyone must decide what support they will give. That's our position. But also I want to be like, all of us must be alive to that violence seems to be the answer to everything. And how do we actually do that? Takes violence off the equation.
Yes. No, what I'll do, I'll take this opportunity to thank SERI and to say to them, look, because of this incident, don't regret. I know the chairperson said I mustn't apologize, but don't regret to have a relationship with us. I always trouble with Nomsami because what is happening in Joburg, it can be only seen as if it's in Johannesburg. Go to Durban, you've got members in Durban. They are under something that I can't describe when it comes to management. I'm talking of the so-called, they're supposed to be in a very organized space whereby it's market. The resistance they are getting from these city officials. Now, Mrs. Nomzam will always, or SERI will always say we don't have capacity. I think we need more capacity so that we can make sure that this thing is not a thing of Johannesburg, but it's something that is the poor South Africans on the ground.
I just want to thank everyone for attending, and I would like to to ensure the proper knowledge of the Constitution in the Council at no charge. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you very much to everyone. Thank you to the speakers. Thank you for engaging, particularly the city. And I think the message is quite clear from everyone who spoke, that we stand very firmly behind the rights of informal traders. We stand very firmly behind the work that SERI is doing to protect the rights of informal traders, to trade, to make a living, to do so with dignity. And we stand very firmly against the xenophobia that has been promulgated or propagated on Twitter, including by the NSC. And certainly we stand very firmly against the threats of violence, against all SERI staff, against informal traders, and against women. Thank you.
Thank you.